The gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Grothman, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate you all being here. I bet I've had a chance to talk to maybe 5 or 6 different panels since this crisis broke, and I'm glad you're all so ready to come to Washington. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm not sure yet the public overall is in line with the things you're telling us. I think in part that's because in the past we've had crisis around, SARS comes to mind, in which we expected all sorts of horrible things to happen, and because maybe all these horrible things didn't happen, the public is not, or many members of the public are not that alarmed yet. I want to talk a little bit about the numbers in China and what we expect the numbers to be in the United States. The things I have here show that right now in China there have been about 3,000 deaths. Do you guys agree that we're probably the worst is over in China, or do you think that number is going to continue to escalate or slowly drop?
I think China is a great sign of encouragement. They had, in the last couple of days, they've really gone down to under 50 cases per day. So they really have now got control of their outbreak.
Okay. So you, in the United States, when you look at the trajectory of what happened in China and what happened in the United States, based upon what were 3 weeks, a month, or how far are we into this situation in the United States?
Yeah, I think that's the critical question, that for a period of time, this outbreak seems to go in a very arithmetic way, and then it goes logarithmic. So, for example, you can just go back 3 weeks ago, and Italy had hardly any infections. They had almost 1,800 infections confirmed just last night.
Right.
So we are fighting hard now between our containment strategy and, as Dr. Fauci will say, the expanded mitigation.
Right. Let's compare it to something the average American understands, and that's the common flu. Can you tell us every year kind of where we start and how much it grows and how many new people get the flu every day?
Yeah. I can't give you a precise number, sir, but one of the things we're trying to emphasize to the American people.
Well, I only have my 5 minutes. Can you tell us about how many people, say, get the flu every year and how many new people are diagnosed?
Get the flu? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah. You know, we about 5% or so to 10% of the population. We have about 30,000 deaths. It ranges from 15,000 to about 69, 79,000 per year.
Okay. Based upon the current trajectory, how many people do you think will get this new virus, and how many people do you think will die?
Cannot predict, and that's.
I know you can't predict, but there must be. You know, we have a graph. We have the beginning of a graph. We know this is going to go up. We have the experience of China. We have the experience of Italy.
Yeah.
Can you give us some projections?
It is going to be totally dependent upon how we respond to it. So I can't give you a number. If we now sit back complacently.
I'm not asking to be complacent. I'm asking for a realistic. I mean, that's what the public is looking for.
I can't give you a realistic number until we put into the factor of how we respond. If we are complacent and don't do really aggressive containment and mitigation, the number could go way up and be involved in many, many millions. If we taught to contain, we could flatten it. So there's no number answer to your question until we act upon it.
I'll give you a question. We mentioned earlier today that I think one of the basketball tournaments, I think for the Ivy League, they've cut off their tournament altogether. On the other, nobody talks about, you know, every night they play like, I don't know, 8 to 10 NBA games, and nobody talks about shutting them down. Is the NBA underreacting, or is the Ivy League overreacting?
We would recommend that there not be large crowds. If that means not having any people in the audience when the NBA plays, so be it. But as a public health official, anything that has large crowds is something that would give a risk to spread.
I'll emphasize again.